Indian television to give us the opportunity, and thank you, my panel members, to be here. So we are moving from national versus regional linear TV to something completely different. Programmatic, using AI and technology to advertise. So we're going to be talking about future of programmatic advertising, how AI and tech is going to play a role in this entire space. So my first question to the panel is, how much of your media monies or advertising monies have shifted to programmatic advertising? So maybe we can start with you, Prasad.
So, when we talk about programmatic in today's world, I think everything is programmatic. There is nothing called percentage spends going on programmatic. Nothing today we do which is not on the basis of data or not on the basis of the trends and the triggers what we did. Either those triggers are available with us because of the customers who have already come to our portal and visited us in the past, those triggers are available, or they are trigger coming from various partners like PayU for that matter, which are available for us to do a right targeting. Because while it is 100% programmatic, I would say life insurance as a category is not open for everyone. We have segmentation which is built into our products. All our products are not available to all the customers. I need to have customers with certain income level. Below certain income level, I cannot offer the product to the customers. At the same time, I also need to ensure that the customers are good health, though that information is currently not readily available across the universe. But that's why we take into consideration the age group very seriously. Anybody and everybody cannot become my customer. So from all those perspectives, whatever today we spend on our advertisement are on the basis of the data which is available and the triggers which are already available with us or with our partners. That's how we work. In fact, same thing works with our ecosystem of Google and Meta as well. That everything, even if I want to do a full funnel campaign, it is done in a manner that data remains centered to what we are doing and the way we are advertising and targeting the consumers.
I think that's a very important point here, and the difference that you know so much about your consumers and how are you leveraging that to personalize your campaigns, do a very sharper targeting. And Argho, in your business, how are you leveraging this? And how much of your advertising spends are on programmatic?
Thanks. I would look at it in the reverse way, right? So how we take a decision is how much of my advertising spends are not going to be programmatic, right? So there are two ways to look at it. First, which category you operate in, right? That often defines the amount of personal interaction you need to have with your creative and your media plan, right? Again, at what scale you need to operate. So if you want large scale personalization, something maybe the large, quick service or delivery brands are doing, even though you need personalization, you need a TG of one at any moment, but you need to go programmatic, right? And how you need to do it, how you'll be able to do it is when you leverage AI. So at any point of time, at least 50 to 60% of my budgets will be programmatically driven. Just for the case, because the target audience I serve, the TAM will not increase significantly. I am not a universal brand. So the whole idea is that gives me time for technology to take care of serving of the media, so the team and myself can work on better efficiencies, better product, better messaging. So that will add automatically to the efficiency or the output or the ROAS that I am generating. So here, if I am in a brand which has a limited TAM, I think programmatic is the way to go, because I can A, control frequency, B, control narrative because I get more time to spend on narrative and personalization, and C, output measurement, right? And basically measure it across channels. That's the way I would put it.
Oh, very well said. So the ROIs probably are much more realizable in the programmatic advertising, and we'll come to that question. But to Ishika and Akshay, because both of you are actually in a space of providing services in this area. So Ishika, how do you think the future of programmatic is going to be as we move forward with more technology coming into play?
Sure. So, I was actually going through the Martech report from Dentsu 2024, and the last year ADEX for digital was about 45,292 crores. Of this 45,292 crores, about 42% came from programmatic. And now if we look at the predictions for this particular year, January-December 2025, the digital ADEX is expected to grow to about 52,992 crores. And programmatic is expected to be around 44 to 45% of that, which is like a 17% year-in-year growth. So definitely programmatic is on the rise, and if I have to answer your previous question also, that how much percentage of my clients are now programmatically driven, I agree with Argho, about 50 to 60% of my clients are very inclined towards programmatic, and that's because we end up offering PMP deals, private marketplace deals, and the entire control lies with the advertiser. So they can define the impressions, they can have the daily budget, they can define the frequency. So all in all, programmatic is definitely rising.
Akshay, what is your view on that?
Sure. So I think back to basics first. Why programmatic? I think we've consistently evolved, from universal targeting to then segmenting to then individualization and then to hyper personalization or hyper individualization at scale. So I think that's why programmatic. So while the extent of using programmatic would be an outcome of brand context in terms of who the customer segments are, programmatic is today a default choice in that sense, right? And increasingly we are seeing that more and more brands are wanting to deliver more through their communication, and that's where programmatic comes in. Because programmatic is not just automation, programmatic is also augmentation. All the augmentation layers essentially enable a layer onto your routine communication which delivers more efficacy and efficiency and also measurability. And therefore programmatic is today no longer is a choice that we need to make. It's a decision that we need to take. So yeah.
I think it's a necessity. But to your point, Akshay, are we missing out on the brand campaigns because programmatic gives us quick, fast results? It is more performance oriented, gives us better ROIs. Are we missing out? Maybe Prashant, I can ask you this question for your brand. How do you balance between your brand campaigns, the larger reach campaigns versus programmatic?
So, I completely agree with you that when it comes to building the objective, if it is all about building awareness and consideration for your brand, a larger reach campaign, nothing can replace that larger reach campaign. If you really want to build awareness and consideration for the brand, how we go about doing it? In a year, like Kotak as a brand doesn't need any introduction for that particular matter, but Kotak Life as a brand definitely needs some amount of awareness building and consideration building activity. So we have divided our activities from that perspective. That we need not be always on in our brand campaign, we need not to be always on the face, but in a year, 2 or 3 large brand campaigns what we execute just to ensure that our awareness and consideration is intact. And once that particular part is taken care of, then comes the next entire part of managing the full funnel of marketing from ROI perspective. That's where the digital business also comes into the picture. That once I do the brand campaign, it definitely eats my search volume. It definitely enhances my organic searches. It definitely enhances the direct traffic coming to the website. Now, once that happens, how do I utilize those audiences? With the help of retargeting via programmatic media or with any other media, that's where the entire cost of acquisition, ROI-driven campaigns come into the picture. And evaluation is again in a separate manner. We do not mix the two activities. If the objective was predominantly on awareness and consideration, the score, the search volume, the traffic coming to the website. Those are the key performance indicators we use. And when it comes to the programmatic, then entire funnel we track right from the cost per lead to the quality of the lead, the kind of conversion we are getting, how do I share that information of conversion with our advertisers or the platforms which are using for advertisement. That entire funnel comes into the picture separately. We do not mix the two. We still keep them separate from the objective perspective.
Prasad, very well said. It has to be a balance and you have to look at the full funnel, right from, you also need reach and awareness campaigns and then performance campaigns. So Argho, the question is, because we have so much of data around our consumers, we are creating micro, nano segments and personalizing our campaigns so that the right message in the right context reaches out to them. Can you talk about your examples? How have you done that in your business? And what technologies are we using? Are we using a MarTech stack? Are we enriching the first party data that we are capturing? How is it really happening in your business?
Sure. So how you build it now? So I'll first take half a minute to build context around it. So different people take personalizations in different way, right? So though it is because it's Friday, right? I have given this example many times. If I walk into a bar, right, and somebody says, hey, sir, welcome, that happens. Think I walk into the same bar and the person says, hey, Mr. Bhattacharya, hey, Argho, welcome back. I feel better. Then think I walk into the same bar again and the person says, hey, Argho, welcome. We have your usual table booked. Now I'm feeling giddy inside, right? Yes, people know me. Then I walk into the same bar, right, and the person says, hey, your table is ready. Should I order your usual? So this is personalization in depth, right? And this would require for me to attain on a physical establishment, it would require attentive steward, right? And me visiting that place at least 10 times. On the digital part of it, we are expected to do that within the first 5 seconds of somebody arriving. So that is where humanly it is not possible. That is where technology comes in. That is where AI comes in. And the most important part here I would say where we leverage is not first party data. We call it zero party data. The whole idea is first party data might only be a phone number or email address, either of them. But the whole idea is when I first collected, what they wanted from me was different than what they want maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months into the, into the future. So the whole idea is it's predicting not what they want now, but it is also predicting, because they are a long tail product, right? Predicting the life cycle of what they would want in the future. Hence, there are 3 uses of AI that we do. First is in planning our media, right? Second, other people will add, in looking at what your competition does, there's absolutely no shame in being inspired, right? So basically that gives you a leg up. And third is studying what an individual wants from us, right? So when we set context, we do not set context for cohorts anymore. We set context for individuals, and that is the hardest part of it. Have we cracked it? No. Are we getting there? Yes.
Well said. I think we are knowing so much about our consumers, not just from the transaction data that we have, but also from the additional signals that we are getting from the external data. Sometimes it could be very scary. You're talking about, we were just discussing before the session, you're talking about something to your wife, it gets heard on your phone, and you start seeing the ads related to that context of the topic. So it becomes very scary many times. But there's a lot of tech AI happening behind the scenes. And the companies have, or the brands have invested a lot in building those tech stacks in their ecosystem to be able to capture these signals and then create those cohorts and the specific personalized communications. So Ishika, how are you helping your clients get to this kind of a personalized communication?
So I also throw an example adding to Argho. So we had done a campaign for a telco brand where we used dynamic creative optimization where this same creative would keep changing for different pin codes. And this was catered to users in Delhi. So I'm not calling out the pin code, I don't remember the pin codes, but suppose the pin code is 12345 So in that particular pin code, the message was coming out to the user saying that please walk into your nearest telecom brand dealership. We have specialized offers for you, and they would mention that this is only for this particular pin code. Similarly, people from a different pin code would have a similar template, but the message would be with a different pin code. So we were also personalizing things for users at the pin code level, and that actually brought in a brand uplift by about I think 25 to 26%, and the campaign CTR was about 2.9%, which is quite high for a digital campaign. So having said that, how even at granular levels like a pin code level where you're talking to people and sending out customized messages, it is very important and it really helps the users to relate to it. And obviously then you see results coming in. As I mentioned, the CTR was quite high, the brand lift was extensive. So personalization is definitely very important, and I would like to come up with a few examples probably in the next question as you ask.
Sure, thanks. In fact, I want to go back to Argho for that example that you were talking about, where you are actually isolating the households in the building, saying these are non-users, so can be targeted very specifically. So from pin code to a more granular level is what we are talking about.
So when we are looking at marketing or targeting, it is not always who to include, right? Sometimes it might be about who to exclude. So there is a large, say, oil and gas or maybe utility company. Now you think of yourself, there's a building, right, where you want to supply your services to. But the problem here lies, when you supply to that, 50% of that building's residents are already your customers. So if you serve your ad by the usual hyper-local method, you would serve your ad to maybe all the 100 flats. But 50 flats is just burning your marketing money. So how you can do it? You go back to your market stack, you look at your first-party data of people who are already your consumers, feed in their numbers, right? There's something called a mobile graph, right? It's still getting developed. So the whole idea is, if my number is there, and at home usually I am connected to my Wi-Fi, right? So any other devices connected to that same Wi-Fi will be excluded from when, as a company, I am serving that ad. So what it essentially does, quite well I believe, is will exclude the 50% of the households who are already using that utility provider, but showcase to the other 50% of the households if this service is being used. So here, AI and that work on the field of exclusion. So I'll just add another quick example. And you don't need to be a large-scale provider to use AI, right? So one of our, PayU has a holding company, and that holding company invests in many other sister concerns. So there's a very great example that is now unveiling in Brazil, right? So there's a food delivery company, one, right? And currently your food delivery here is working on, okay, what coupon you should use, what discount you should get, what is the pin code, it is raining or not raining. They have taken it a step further. So the whole idea is they are now moving people online to offline. So there is a pizza place I like. So next time I am going from near that pizza place, the pizza place is pinging me on that food. Hey, you're nearby, why don't you walk in? This is the walk-in offers. And when I walk into the pizza place, right, the person who is getting me seated is asking me, you usually order this from me, would you want to try the same or would you want to try something new? So AI or marketing or programmatic will never work in a unitary way if only marketing is using it. Depending on what kind of organization you are, either sales has to adopt it or say operations has to avoid it. And only then will you get management buy-in to put more money in, right, or more resources to scale that.
Thanks, you've given a perspective where we started with saying we can go geo-specific, pin code wise, then to a building block where we are isolating households, and this is like individuals, and we have studied the past behavior of the individual and we are predicting what he's going to buy and then sending a communication when he's at the point of consumption. So this is, to this extent of personalization one can go with the help of technology. And Akshay, do you want to add to what Argho has mentioned? How are you helping your clients to achieve this objective?
Sure. I will definitely answer. See, in our case, what we are seeing is that inclusion, exclusion, and selection, they are both possible at scale through AI. So let me talk about selection. So, for example, there is a brand, which came to us, and they said that okay, we are in the business of air purifiers. Okay, we are concerned with the AQI, currently, but we do not want to spill the marketing budget that we have, and therefore, while we want an always-on campaign, it should be reflective of the AQI in a city, and it should address our TG accordingly. So what we did was we created, an IP and API-based solution for them, which essentially kept dynamically monitoring the AQI of that city and using those always-on learning loops. The ad was served only when the AQI was in a poor or a severe kind of a category, and even depending on the extent of AQI, the messaging changed. For example, when the AQI was poor, the messaging would be different, and when the AQI was severe, the messaging was different. In fact, it would take more emotional and fear-based approach in comparison to, let's say, when it was poor, where it would take a health-based approach. So, using that always-on learning loop, we were able to create an augmentation layer for that brand, and what we realized was that that campaign was received so well that it was targeting the right people in the right context, and therefore people were willing to sort of engage with it and listen to it. Like if somebody tells me that the AQI is 900 now, and you should be worried and you should be picking this brand, chances are that I'll actually go and do that.
Yeah, no, I think what we have covered so far is that the technology is helping us knowing our consumers well, getting to understand their attributes, also predicting their behavior and then reaching out to them at the relevant time in the right context. But what you touched upon is also creating the content using technology. So, Prasad, I'll come back to you saying, how have you leveraged technology to create a content which will resonate very well with the consumers and then send it out in the right context at the right time?
So, there are two parts to it. One part is when we talk about the entire media industry, the amount of personalization, segmentation, and even selection of a right target segment and selecting the right media instrument, a lot of development has happened there. But when it comes to the content development, it has remained mainly on the demographics of the customer. Because today, when I am targeting somebody, I do get some information about the customer's demographics and customer's affinity. So both Google and Meta as the large platforms, they do offer a lot of information about the customer's affinity, and all the content what we develop is towards that particular part. What we have started initiating, it is still at a nascent stage from the content development perspective, is the, I would say, archetype of the customer. In today's world, what has started happening, that as we are talking about so much of hyper-personalization, every individual has his own style of consuming the content. Like when it comes to me, my appetite is more about data-based communication. Something which talks about data. 75% of the customers have done it. Then, or otherwise, stats says that this is what the industry scenario, that only 10% of the people have taken out term insurance in their life, whereas the protection gap is 90% per se. That's my style of communication when I consume it as a consumer. Whereas the same demographic, Argho will have some different way of consuming the content. It might be on the basis of more emotional appeal. It might not be data based. It might not be that. So our archetypes are different, though our affinity and our demographics are similar. So we have started doing some experiments there. Today with existing customers predominantly, because that's where we can go and check the kind of archetype they have. But that's where I believe that industry as a media industry or even the advertisement industry should come together and develop something on archetypes so that more personalizations can happen on content. Otherwise, content personalization becomes very tactical in nature, which is more on like customer
offers and specific offers and schemes.
Yeah. But challenge in that particular part is I'm connecting with the customers, but I'm not connecting in the manner you would like to consume the content. So that's where currently the gap is available, which can get breached. Because what we are seeing, apart from that, whatever customization we do doesn't yield a significantly incremental benefit to me if I customize to that level. But if I do it at the archetype, I think that will lead to a lot of things. I will add one more point to the technology part of it, which we have discussed sometime back. What has happened with advent of AI and Gen AI now, a lot of information is available. And I'll talk about an example which we are currently experimenting with. So life insurance, as I mentioned, is not a easy to purchase product over the counter. It requires a lot of information from the customer. At the same time, I need to do a lot of evaluation at the back end. I might ask for a physical medical, I might ask for more information from the customer. Now, all those things are not happening digitally. Some of those conversations are happening on telephone because I am assisting the customer to complete that purchase journey online. At that point of time, a lot of conversation is happening between agent and customer, a lot of information is coming into the system. Now, earlier we were not having any tool to go through all the conversations and take out insights out of it and then feed those insights into our advertisement channel. But now as we have started doing the quality check of 100% of our calls, lot of insights are coming. Just to give you an example, earlier there used to be a mismatch between what we are putting as or the customer is putting as the income into the proposal form vis-a-vis what a contact center agent is putting into the CRM. There always used to be a mismatch. They used to say the customer is not eligible because the income is low. Whereas customer is putting a particular income, we are saying to the customer is eligible, and I am doing entire optimization basis the feedback coming from the customer entry and what the feedback coming from the agent. What we realize that neither the income entered by the customer in the proposal form nor what is entered by the agent in the CRM, what customer is mentioning on the call, that is the more accurate information. Because that's what he's telling, that this is what my income is. Agent had a vested interest of showing that he is not eligible, is not able to convert. And customer is giving the right information in the call. Now the entire optimization is happening on what information is coming there. So from earlier days when we were doing the optimization basis, the customer information in the journey and the stage where customer is reaching. Like we started doing a lot of optimization on the type of customer who are reaching the payment page, vis-a-vis the customer is reaching the second page. So Google Enhanced Conversion and all those Facebook copy, we were using those tools to do that kind of optimization. Now we have one more layer on top of it, which is coming out of the customer communication. So that content is getting consumed as a data input rather than just a communication input.
And a very important point again, because we call it as conversational analytics. And conversational analytics is because an agent is speaking to the consumer and the consumer is giving information. So it's not just passive signals we are capturing, but this is a very useful layer of information or attributes that we are adding using conversational analytics. And this is where multiple technologies are coming together and helping you enrich the profile, the personas of the consumers that we spoke about. And today we are using agentic. So there are agentic bots which can actually do this entirely in an automated manner. So Argho, are you using agentic in either in the process automation or in the creative content?
No, so we do use agentic right across many things. First is in my the content and copy side, right? Then in my process efficiency side, and then also in my creative and my media serving. So it's it. But also where we use agentic now is on the customer service side, right? And fraud management. So everything put together, no, that is the only way forward. So let's say quickly there are three things that we change, right? One is the brand mode, the second was always the media mode, and the third was over the last 6-7 years was the technology mode that you build for your business. Now, agentic or AI will erode the technology mode. So, as a brand, right, even if you're a smaller brand, even if you don't have the amount of leverage that you can provide with AI to your marketing efforts is going to see how you are able to defend the top two modes. So that's where I put it.
I think we are running over time, but just a quick one to Ishika and Akshay. Because we are talking about multiple cohorts, communication at scale, creatives at scale, are you leveraging, what kind of tech are you leveraging to send these kind of creatives for the brands?
So, we've actually built our own audience platform, which is called Audience Explorer. And I was telling you off the record also that, we end up uploading the first party data of users using S3 bucket. So when it comes to customization, as you were saying, we also have an option of negating who you don't want to reach out to, because once you have, and I mean, obviously negating who you don't want to reach out to, and obviously sending out the desired banners to people who you want to reach out to, because once you have the user's first party data, you can always have a very high top of mind recall by reconnecting with those kind of users, right? And answering the question regarding the creators, we have Centra as an ad server on which we create and serve rich media creatives, which can be obviously personalized and rich, and they are highly engaging. And with the help of first party data and these kind of creators, we are able to reach out to the right audiences at the right time.
Akshay, how are you leveraging this?
Yeah, sure. So at VDO.AI, I think our basic model is to convert advertising from interruption to interaction, right? And which is where we see ourselves as technology partners, which can sit as augmentation layers to a brand's campaign stack. And in terms of how we do this, we we have a multi-dimensional approach where we use first-party data, we use context, we use IP-based signals, and we service through completely our own in-house tech stack. And we have our own ad server, which uses all this to convert it into intent-based model, and then serve appropriate messaging to appropriate segments using the appropriate data sets. In fact, it will be an appropriate idea to give you an example here. The moment you have a brand challenge, technology can come into picture and address that. So there may not be a precedent if it has been done that before or not, but it can actually be done. So for example, in case of BFSI, the larger challenge is that a lot of spends are directed towards performance, while branding still remains a key challenge in itself, right? But the pressure to sort of deliver is so much that you keep funneling a lot of spends on your performance. But that's like a prepaid taxi, right? So what we have done is that for those segments, we've created Gen AI capabilities and dynamic creative optimizations, which can actually layer, performance layers onto your routine communication. So what it does is that it doesn't really compromise on your branding needs. It actually builds a performance layer on top of that, right? And secondly, I would also like to give an example where, let's say, an automotive manufacturer wanted to bust a myth saying that the charging stations are rapidly available and readily available near you, right? So they came to us and they said, how do we do that, right? And what we did was, we actually created an IP-based solution for them. What we did was we layered the nearest charging station to them. And in fact, the copy also was in multilingual format. So depending on which location you were in Chandigarh, it was served in Guruki, you were in Tamil Nadu, it was served in Tamil, and in northern states it was served in Hindi. And that campaign is a recent campaign, it's already won 3 awards for them, and that launch has been very successful. So I think using this multi-dimensional array of the appropriate data sets and technology, we are able to sort of come up with an augmentation for performance or branding for our partners.
Thanks, I think Akshay summed it up pretty well. If we are talking about future of programmatic, personalization at scale, we need to have the right tech stack in place, and this tech stack is evolving. You are getting newer solutions every day almost. So how do you marry all of this together and leverage what you have to the best and reach out to engage with the consumers rather than reaching out, engage with your consumers so that you get better conversions. And in programmatic, KPIs are absolutely important. You have to track your ROAS, you have to track your cost per conversion. So it's a tough business. So anything else that you want to add, we'll wrap up with that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope we've been able to address some of your concerns and questions. So thank you.
I hope you all also enjoyed the session as much as we all did, right?